Day 439. Today the hottest part of the front line was the Bakhmut direction. Yesterday, the Russian presidential office announced that they received the message of the head of the Wagner Group, Prigozhin, who threatened to withdraw from Bakhmut in the coming days. As a result, Putin forced the Ministry of Defense to give unlimited supplies to Wagner Group and full autonomy over the entire direction. The same day, Ukrainian intelligence noted a significant movement of Russian forces towards Bakhmut. Russians relocated thousands of troops to the second line in preparation for a massive storming operation. Today, Ukrainians unleashed their HIMARS and conducted the most extensive HIMARS raid of the war. A fighter from the 24th Assault Brigade reported that the strikes continued the whole day and were also supported by aviation and other long-range artillery such as M777. Another fighter reported that HIMARS strikes were distinctly concentrated in at least 3 areas and also provided support on demand. One such area became the Khromovo region. 2 days ago, Ukrainians launched an extensive operation in this region that culminated today at night. As you remember, previously the Ukrainian 3rd Assault Brigade was conducting an operation to clear the trenches in between the 2 roads. 2 days ago, this became the area of responsibility of the Special Forces Detachment Terror. The main goal of this detachment was to breach Russian positions in a fortified shelter, destroy the enemy troops, and create conditions for further advancement. Geolocated combat footage shows that the fighters prepared specific equipment in order to achieve their objective. Apart from the abundance of grenades, the fighters had powerful explosives that they detonated from a distance. As a result, the task was completed and they started preparing for the next move. Today, the commander of this detachment reported that they were conducting offensive actions from 4 a.m. till midnight. He said that in the aftermath of this extensive operation, Ukrainians have advanced by 1 kilometer forward, which means that at the moment, both heavily entrenched fields are under total Ukrainian control, and Russians once again lost control over the Khromovo road. Other fighters commented that such progress was achieved thanks to the coordination with the HIMARS crews that have been hidden in the shelters occupied by Russians, which the infantry struggled to breach themselves. Ukrainian artillery also intensely shelled and targeted Russians inside Bakhmut itself. Ukrainian fighters reported that after several days of using incendiary munitions, Russian forces assumed that the Ukrainian positions in the citadel worsened and conducted several waves of attacks. Russian sources claim that Wagner units launched a large-scale operation and started attacking along the whole contact line, while Ukrainian fighters wrote that even though there were indeed a lot of ground attacks during the day, they did not happen at once. The fighters said that Russians were sending several assault units in each direction to test waters, they would be eliminated by snipers and finished by mortar crews, and then Russians would send another group, which continued the whole day. One of the main axes of advance became the northeastern side of the citadel. Several days ago, Russians managed to get across the street and establish control over a high-rise building. Shortly, Russian sources published a description of a new Russian tactic, which is indeed quite impressive. These standard Soviet houses only have windows in front and in the back, and do not have windows on the sides. In order to avoid Ukrainian fire, Wagner forces started blowing up the side walls on the first and second floors, immediately penetrating Ukrainian defenses from the most unexpected and vulnerable side. As a result, they established control over the outer building of the citadel, but unfortunately for the Russians, Ukrainians blew up the whole building after retreating. Ukrainians then also hit with artillery a Russian machine gun nest, which suppressed Ukrainian fire and allowed Wagners to approach the building from the side. Another main axis of advance became Ukrainian positions on the outer edge of the city. These positions are extremely important because they do not allow Russians to take Khromovo and cut off Ukrainians from the west. In fact, this is where Ukrainian artillery and mortar crews were helping out forces on the ground the most. Ukrainian fighters from the 93rd Mechanized Brigade showed how they basically fired at Russian positions non-stop. And their joint effort paid off very quickly, because as reported by the fighters on the ground, Russians started hiding in houses and basements, and then the survivors retreated. Overall, Russian forces struggled to breach the last Ukrainian defense line in Bakhmut. The only progress that Russians managed to achieve over the last 10 days is establishing control over a small block of houses in the northwest and a line of high-rise buildings east of the citadel. The Institute for the Study of War evaluated the Prigozhin drama and essentially concluded that his blackmail was not a show, but rather an attempt to secure a seat in the Ministry of Defense to get more intelligence about the Ukrainian counteroffensive and secure unlimited supplies to meet the Ukrainian counteroffensive. He understood that Putin simply could not allow an effective defeat to happen on the biggest Russian holiday, and as a result he got everything he wanted. Today Prigozhin basically confirmed this analysis by saying that he needed a lot of ammunition to conduct the biggest storming operation, clear Bakhmut, and regroup to meet the Ukrainian counteroffensive. Fortunately, Ukrainian intelligence timely noted a huge inflow of troops and equipment and responded with yet unseen ferocity. Russians have already failed to take Bakhmut before the 9th of May, and many Russian sources reported that all Ukrainian forces are already on the positions to launch a counteroffensive operation and that there is a high chance that they will launch it on the 9th of May, close to midnight. Tomorrow we will see whether this information was real intelligence or just rapidly spreading paranoia. If you are against the invasion of Ukraine and you want to support the work that I'm doing, consider making a purchase in the online store, UA Supporter. Here you can find a lot of products with Ukrainian symbols to not only show support for this channel, but also for Ukraine. The link to the online store is in the description. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next report.